underrated game this week, Q.
Understatement.
The Bears' first divisional playoff game since 2010 season. Do you remember who they played in that divisional round?
The Seahawks.
There you go. Seahawks. Belt to ass to them too. We could end up seeing them again,
Hey,
yeah.
listen,
Spoiler alert.
we do well against Seattle Seahawks in the play. If you recall,
Understatement.
we played them in the divisionals in 2006 on the way to the Super Bowl as well.
We did.
Defending champion the year. I'm sorry, not the defending champion, defending NFC champion.
They didn't win no Super Bowl until the Legion of Boom. They still had Sean Alexander. See, was he coming off an MVP year? Yeah. We flipped him upside down, put him on his neck. Because the Bears weren't playing that bullshit with his high running ass.
Is he the weakest good running
But
back ever?
I've been drug into this conversation because a certain head coach is no longer coaching now. So obviously people are having these Hall of Fame discussions, and the NFL is not like the NBA. If you have a name or if you win any of those awards, you're going right to the Hall of Fame. NFL don't do that. Sean Alexander got an MVP. He ain't sniffing the Hall of Fame.
He ain't getting in.
No, oh no, it's a wrap for him. And it was a wrap for him then. They're like, no, you're not okay. You had the good year. You had a great year. He had a damn near 2,000 yards, if I'm not mistaken. But
1,800. I think he ran for about 20 plus touchdowns. Something ridiculous. He had like
ooh,
25 touchdowns. Look it up. He
he
had a
did have a
ridiculous
that
season.
season. Yeah, I remember that season. He stayed in the end zone that year, which is crazy because like a year or so later, LT ended up having 30 combined touchdowns. I'm like, what's in the water? Everybody's scoring now. But Sean Alexander was never that guy, but he was okay. He was good enough to be a bell cow, but he was never like a perennial All Pro, a perennial Pro Bowler. He was, I think he had what 2 or 3 in his career, and he just had that random MVP season.
He had 3 Pro Bowls.
Yeah, 3 Pro Bowls.
And then after the 1,800-yard season, he never had another 1,000-yard year. In fact,
Makes sense.
the next 3 years, he didn't even average 4 yards a carry in none of the years after.
Could you say the Seahawks fell off after their went to the Super Bowl that year?
They did. I think they ended up 9-7, but they gave us a fight in the divisional round.
Mm-hmm.
They gave us a fight.
So what's crazy is, so the Seattle Seahawks went to the Super Bowl, and then we beat them on a road to the Super Bowl. Who most wasted their window of contention? Was that 05-06 version of the Bears, or was it that 04-05 version of the Seahawks?
The Bears. The Bears 2-year window, 13-3 and 06. The 11-5 year, even though they were 11-5, that defense is one of the most dominant in the league. They went into the last game of the season with a chance to break the scoring record. If you remember the defense scoring record, but
Right.
Lovey
I
didn't start
remember.
anybody. And the Vikings ran up 34 points. The Bears needed to hold on to like a shutout of 6 points anyways, but the Vikings ended up running up 34 points, and the Bears didn't even stay under 200 for the season. That was when the 2005 defense was one of the stingiest defenses I ever seen. In fact, I mean, I say this all the time. That was the best Bears defense I saw. I didn't see the 85 or 86 defense, but that's the best Bears defense I witnessed. That in 2018, better than the Super Bowl, the actual Super Bowl Bears defense. I mean, that was a dominant Tommy Harris. That was a Urlacher, Mike Brown, healthy. That was Briggs was just entering into his prime, or was starting his run, getting close to his prime. That was a really good defense. So I think the Bears wasted it because the NFC was pretty bare, no pun intended, in 05-06. So
I mean, we were still putting belt to ass regularly to the Packers and the rest of the NFC North. But yeah, I think you're right because I think the Seahawks went on a stretch of not be relevant again to the Legion of Boom. But the Bears, they continued to be playoff caliber team, even if they didn't make the playoffs, they were still good enough to be a playoff team. So I don't think they had too many losing seasons up until then. You got to Jay Cutler, that era, because that's still in that same little era, and we
yeah,
thought that Jay Cutler would be the savior because the one thing holding that Bears team back when they went to the Super
quarterback.
Bowl, quarterback. Rex Grossman, Kyle Orton. It was a musical chairs of mid to trash quarterbacks.
Jim Miller in '01,
Jim,
Jim Miller and Shane Matthews in '01.
well, that was a little earlier than that
Yeah,
window,
yeah.
but
So it was Kyle
yeah,
Orton, Rex Grossman, Brian Greasy had a small little run,
yeah,
and then
he
it was
did.
back to Kyle Orton, and then Jay Cutler.
That's a whole lot of I don't want to call them bums because it's Bears ride or die right now, so I don't want to call them bums, but they wasn't the quarterbacks you need to have if you want to go on a title run, right?
No, but I like Kyle Orton because
No,
he
no,
was a
I'm
game.
I'm a big Kyle Orton fan. Yeah,
He was game.
yeah. I mean, we recognize his limitations, but he he never killed you. He wasn't gonna win you no games, but he wasn't gonna kill you.
You're right about
Unlike
that. He wasn't. Yeah, he wasn't going to win them, but he wasn't going to put you in position to lose. He wasn't going to throw 5 interceptions.
shout out to Cutler,
He wasn't going to throw 4 interceptions to the same guy.
shout out to Cutler. He wasn't gonna throw multiple interceptions to the Packers.
In fact,
Shout out to Cutler again.
Kyle Orton had a decent record against the Packers. Yeah, I remember there was one game he beat the shit out of Aaron Rodgers and the Packers 35-3, and he was pouring it on them.
That was the best thing about that little era. Even though the Bears didn't win any Super Bowls, they only went to one. The best thing about that era is that they ran the rivalry. And I think there was a stretch from when I think from like '05 to like '09, the Bears won like 8 of 10 games against the Packers, something like that. Um, so that was the last time the Bears ran the rivalry with the Packers until till present day, where the Bears now find themselves in the divisional round. And after establishing dominance in that rivalry with the Green Bay Packers, establishing dominance in the NFC North once again, sitting on top of the crown, Kings of the North, the Bears are hosting another playoff game, this time against those LA Rams. The last time we seen the Rams in the playoffs was '85 championship game.
Super Bowl year, NFC Championship. Yeah.
Spoiler alert,
Spoiler alert.
sneak preview. A lot of parallels coming up. But first thing before we get to this game preview, let's talk about the biggest things surrounding this game. The weather, the hawk. Q, you been outside?
Unfortunately,
It's supposed to be colder on Sunday than it is today. And it was not
it's not
pretty
pretty today.
today. I was in the loop downtown yesterday morning. I was going to the office and it started. So I got off the red line at Monroe. I walked upstairs and the snow was going crazy. And it was windy. The snow was that thick snow, that like rain mixed with snow type thing. I took a video of it. I'm like, there's no way LA winning in this. It was cold as hell, it was windy as hell. And that's like a mile north of the stadium. I was gonna be effed up on Sunday. And it's getting colder each day. I have a limit of how much cold I can deal with. Once it gets under 20 degrees, I'm not going outside. It's gonna be 8 degrees on Sunday at kickoff. Wind chill, talking about maybe 2 degrees.
You know why, right? Iceman. The Iceman cometh.
As far as the weather is concerned, how much of a factor does this really have on a football game? So, we hear all about uh warm weather teams, the teams in Florida, the teams in California, teams in Texas even. They can't really handle winning games in inclement weather. But we've seen them do it before, right? How much does this really affect a football game?
When you have a team from LA that's coming from warm weather and a dome, and you have a Matthew Stafford, which has not played well traditionally in cold weather outdoor games, I say it's a huge factor. Usually, I would say the cold weather is kind of overrated because if you look at a lot of rosters, just because the team plays in Florida with the era of free agency and player movement, you look at a team from Florida and a lot of their players will be from northern states. But Matthew Stafford is a California boy, even though he played in Detroit for the Lions for a long time. He played in the dome. I don't think it's coincidence that some of his worst performances and worst games are outdoors in the cold. Being that he is the quarterback of the Rams and they rely on him heavily, I think it is. I think it's definitely significant.
We don't talk about that a whole lot when we talk about the Rams offense versus the Bears defense later on in the show. Personal for me, the way I see this is I lived in Chicago for 35 years before I moved to Atlanta. While I was in Chicago, I didn't get cold and nothing like that. I didn't catch cold, and I didn't necessarily need all that bundling up and all that layering. You know, I had my hoodie. I double up a hoodie when I necessarily needed to. I worked outside for majority of my adult life in the cold. I just dealt with it, right? I got to Atlanta. It don't really get cold like that in the winter. Overnight, it might get under 32. It might be freezing at night. But that next day, it's gonna warm up to about 56. So, on bad days, it's in the 40s. So it's not that's nothing to me. I don't even consider that to be winter. But being down there for a few years and coming back to Chicago in the winter, I ain't got it like that no more.
Blood thinned out.
Yeah, your blood change and all that. As you said, the northern players that's on all these rosters coming from Ohio and Michigan and all those uh, deep talent beds of football in the Midwest and the Northeast or whatever. Once you get to the Florida, once you get to Texas, once you get to LA, and your body you're used to that, you ain't got that no more. Shout out to Kyron Williams. Shout out to Devontae Adams as well, who spent a lot of his time in Green Bay. So you might be used to it. You might have seen it before. It might not be something new to you. But come Sunday, it's gonna hit you hard and you're not gonna like it.
You're not gonna like it. Getting physical in the cold is not fun.
No. Oh my God, bro. So growing up, start driving everything, and you buy these little $1,500, cars, and you gotta keep putting work into them. They always seem to break down during the winter. You gotta, pull into on the driveway or whatever. You gotta change your brakes in January. There's no pain worse than banging your hand on on a cold rotor in 12-degree weather. That is fuck this shit. I don't care. I'll ride the bus. I don't
You
want to do
know,
nothing else.
social media, and I blame the youth and unhealed people of both genders, loves to dictate should a man change a tire. Let me tell you something. I ain't changing no tires no more. Speaking of those raggedy cars, I used to change tires. One day I did it in the cold. I dropped that wrench. I climbed back in my car. I turned the heat on and I waited. And I ain't changed a tire since then. Ain't changed it. That had to be maybe 10, 12 years ago. Once I saw that man pull up and get out there and he had the little thing the automatic thing that just took the lug nuts off and he changed that tire in about 2 minutes. I said, never again. I ain't ashamed. I'm not changing a tire. Don't call me because I'm not changing my own tire. Call AAA. By now, you should have at least two per year or three per year, depending on your insurance. You should have at least three per year. And if you don't, pay that 120 to your local tow man. Support small business. Let them change that tire. I don't even get out of my car. Call that tow man. Tell him it's in the back. Pop the trunk and do what you do. Here's the card. Make a little slit in the window. Here's the card and the back side. I don't even get. I don't need to see anything. Let me know when you're done, brother.
20 for a tire change is a bit steep. I
I
might
ain't
have to get
doing it.
out there and do that.
I'm not doing it. Not doing it.
The hard part about changing a tire, especially if you're on the side of the road like that, it ain't the actual taking the tire off. It's the putting the jack down and getting the car up. That's the part that pisses you off. Like, especially if you're not dressed for all this. If you're
You ever
not
got in the
like,
snow? You ever got down in that snow and changed it?
man, I'm
With
not
that
doing
cold, wet
that.
pavement getting to your shoes and socks? You're never the same for that entire night. I could tell you that.
No, no, you're not. You're right, but shit, I It depends on the type of car you got. If you got a car that could actually handle the weight of a one of them floor jacks, you might be able to do that. Do that yourself. But if you got the standard operating joint, I'm not gonna hold you. Go ahead, make the phone call, do what you got to do, because the jack they put in your car after you get it off the lot, that's some shit. That's some piece of shit. I'm not
Oh,
fucking with
yeah.
that.
You know how much leverage you need when you have that little wrench that's only about this big? You know how much leverage you need? And that little flimsy ass jack?
You gotta go to AutoZone, get you a four-way, at least.
You
At
gotta get a
least you gotta get that
I'm
four-way.
getting the electric joint. Now, you know what? I'm not getting electric.
Yeah,
I'm not changing the tire. I'm not doing it. I'll sell the car before I
I
have to
feel you.
change the tires. Get me a new car.
Hey, I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at it. We all gotta do what we gotta do. Speaking of doing what you gotta do, Bears are, once again, a home dog, Q. How does that make you feel?
Why they disrespecting us? Why are they disrespecting us? We're the only home dog.
That's true. Everybody else is a home favorite. But
Why
I
they
don't.
keep
I
playing with
think
us?
the Rams are favored by 3.5. The total has 48.5. The Rams are led by Matt Stafford, Puka Nakua, and Kyron Williams as the quarterback, wide receiver one, and running back. Matt Stafford had 4,700 yards on the season, 46 touchdowns. I think he led the league in passing yards, if I'm not mistaken. Puka Nakua, 129 catches. We'll talk about him in the jugs machine in a second. 715 yards for receiving and 10 touchdowns. Kyron Williams also had 10 touchdowns with 1,200 rushing yards. The Bears, we all know Caleb Williams, 58 yards shy of 4,000 on the season, 27 touchdowns for him. Colston Loveland, the rookie, led the Bears in receiving yards, 713, six scores for him. DeAndre Swift, 1,087 yards, nine TDs, a career season for him. Should be in the Pro Bowl, but the Bears are going to be in the Super Bowl, so he's going to have to miss out on that anyway. The Rams have won 3 of the last 5 between these two teams. The last time these teams saw each other was when, Q?
Week 4, 2024?
Hey, there you
Week
go. There
4,
you
yeah.
go. Bef- Before the losing streak kicked in, the Bears had beat the beat the brakes off the Rams too last season. Bears are 3.5 point dogs. They are 10-7 against the spread this year, while the Rams are 12-5 against the spread. The Rams led the league in scoring offense this year, 30.5 points per game. The Bears were ninth in the league in that same statistic. The Rams were 10th in the league in scoring defense, 20.5 points allowed per game. The Bears in the bottom third of the league for points given up per game. Takeaway differential, the Bears led the league. They plus 22 in that regards. The Rams ain't no slouch either. They were plus 11 in takeaway differential. Passing yards per game, the Rams ranked first, 268 yards per game. Caleb Williams offense, 225, good for 10th in the league. Rush yards per game. This one surprised me. The Bears ranked third with 144 yards per game. The Rams, they were 126. I didn't think their rushing offense was that potent. I thought there was more of a red zone rushing offense, but hey, numbers don't lie. For the defense of both teams, the Rams were 19th in the league in passing defense. The Bears were 22nd. The Rams gave up 216 yards per game, and the Bears gave up just a little bit more, 227. For rush yards given up per game, the Rams were 12th in the league at 110. The Bears gave up 134 yards on the ground per game. That's good for 27th in the league. Let's start off with the injury report. As we're recording this on Thursday night, the Bears have 8 guys on the injury report right now, led by Nick McLeod, who could be important for the Bears. You never know, depending on how we use Kyler Gordon and how exposed we want to have him out there against Puka and the rest of that fantastic Rams offense. Nick McLeod has not practiced at all this week. His availability is up in the air. He's dealing with a groin injury. DJ Moore is on the injury list as well as Roma Dunze. Both of them have been limited so far, knee and foot injuries respectively. So with those two, CJ Gardner Johnson still in concussion protocol, but he has clocked 2 back-to-back full participations of practice. You know who else has been full participation of practice? Braxton Jones, who could be important in this game. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Amen and Jalen Reeves and Joe Tryon Shoyinka round out the remaining 3 guys on the, injury report. Amen and Joe, they both are in the concussion protocol, but just like CJ Gardner-Johnson, they have tracked full participation in practice, up to this point. For the Rams, they have 10 guys on the injury report. Jimmy Garoppolo has not practiced this week. Q, do you think they're gonna have a quarterback?
Yes, they'll have a quarterback.
Matthew
Um,
Stafford is also on the injury report with his sprained right finger, but he's been anticipate full participant in practice all this week. I expect them to at least have one starting quarterback. If it's not Jimmy Garoppolo, it might be Matt Stafford. We shall find out come Sunday. Um, Other notable names on this injury report is you got Darius Williams, you got Kevin Dotson, Poona Ford, Xavier Smith, Josh Wallace, Terrence Ferguson, Quentin Lake, and Jordan Winnington. Which names are you most interested in when you hear that Rams injury report?
of course, it's Matt Stafford. Healthy or not, he has a issue with his hand. it's, it's the throwing hand, I believe, right?
It is the right hand.
Whether he, I'm pretty sure he's going to go, but I can't imagine that being a comfortable thing for a quarterback in below freezing weather. So that's the one that stands out to me. Even though I think he'll go, how effective will he be? How much will that hand hamper him? Is my question.
As Tom Brady was pointing out, the index finger that he got hurt in that Panthers game. That's the last thing to touch the ball. You're throwing the ball, and
That's the
it
spinner.
yeah, it's
That
and they as they pointed out in the broadcast, after that injury, that's when the Panthers comeback started. Matt Stafford was lights out prior to that injury. He was dealing. Him and Puka was going crazy against the Panthers. But if that finger is an issue, advantage Bears. Quentin Lake, what do you think about that? Their safety. He's on the injury report as well with a foot injury. Can't keep foot patrol, but he's been full participant so far this week, so he's trending towards playing. If he's, and we'll talk more about their secondary in the next segment, but uh, if your safety has reduced foot speed, might be an issue, especially if Ben Johnson has his way. He gets you in a one-on-one situation with Colston Loveland. Boy, I like that advantage for the Bears as well.
I love it. I love that for us.
So let's go ahead and talk about the Bears offense versus the Rams defense. Q, what kind of advantages do you think the Bears offense has against the Rams defense?
The Rams defense has a really nice front four. Again, they lost Aaron Donald, and they just retooled between Byron Young and Jerry Jared Verse, Kobe Turner. They got a nice front four. It's a nice defense all around, but the secondary you can throw the ball against. In fact, Bryce Young in that second half had a lot of success against them. They have good players in the secondary, but they kind of play bend but don't break. They have a really good front four, so the front four kind of makes the secondary look better, which I don't have a problem with that. That's what a good front four is supposed to do. But I think the Bears have the advantage right now with the way Caleb is playing and the way those receivers are clicking. You got to say through the air. Um, and the Bears' running game has slowed down a little bit. I'm not sure if that's a product of teams scheming to defense the Bears' run games. The Bears' running game was so potent for much of the season, especially after week 5, or if they've kind of tailed off. But I think the Bears' offense will have an advantage through the air because I think the way Caleb is really clicking, the way Colston Loveland is really locked in, the way Luther Burden is really locked in, the way DJ Moore is coming up with some big catches, getting Roma Dunze back, some of the other guys contributing like Jade Walker, Zacchaeus, Cole Kmet. I want to say the Bears going to have a slight advantage through the air.
They should have an advantage through the air. Yeah, I agree with you. The Rams secondary can be had, though your secondary is supposed to look better with a dominant front four. The Rams, they're one of the league leaders in, but they're also one of the teams in the bottom of the league as far as sending the blitz. So they can create pressure from just 4 guys,
Well,
right? And they also
we
one of the
named those 4 guys. Those are 4 good guys on there.
mhm, yeah. They're also one of the teams who stack the box the least out of everybody in the league. So you would assume, especially given the weather forecast, you would assume that the Bears this will be a rushing game for the Bears because there's no heavy box. It's going to be cold. It's going to be windy. I think they say it's going to be like up to 15 miles per hour off the lake. It should be an opportunity for the Bears to run, but like you said, the secondary is vulnerable. You would expect your corners, your safeties to look better if your front four can constantly get in the quarterback's face and make them play fast and make them play off script. But guys like Emmanuel Forbes, Kobe, those guys are should try to exploit Ben Johnson, to try to put him on an island, single him out. The same way they was talking about how the Packers was trying to single out Kyler. Sidebar. You could tell people don't watch the Bears, bro. You could tell they don't do their homework. They was talking about Kyler like he was just some dude. Nah,
It's
Kyler is that dude. He
one of the
is
best
that guy.
nickelbacks in the
He
league.
if I would go further than that, top 3.
Oh,
Top
easy.
3 when he's healthy. And based on everybody that I've talked to since that game, they just they parroted what they heard in that broadcast. Or Kyler was activated off the IR, his second IR stint, mind you, less than 24 hours before kickoff. That's his third soft tissue injury in the season. Of course he's not 100%. Of course he's probably gonna be food out there for a wide receiver.
And he
I
didn't
mean,
even play in the
I
first
would
quarter.
half. His first play was like with under a minute on the first half. Remember on the goal line, that was the first time he checked in right before halftime. So yeah, yeah. If I was the opposing coach, I would have attacked him too. But let him be healthy. You're gonna see a Pro Bowl type of player. That boy is a dog.
I think
Right.
what if you go back and look at the game again, Tyler made some key plays in the run game in that second half. Man, a couple of big plays. And they weren't even all tackles. Just the way Kyler Gordon takes on blocks and causes chaos. He's like a linebacker in a box who can cover. He also had some plays in coverage that stood out where he recognized things. You know, the Packers run a lot of mesh concepts and they go a lot of trips and they do things where they try to run the little legal screens and Kyler sniffed a couple of those out in the second half. You have to look at them off the ball. So yeah, acting like Kyler Gordon was just food out there. Yeah, you could tell they don't watch the game. Shout out to Herb Street, great announcer, but you could kind of tell some guys just they know the big names and they talk about what they see.
I think the Rams have guys like that. They can be exploited, put on an island and exploit them. For one, I'm gonna go right back to their corners. The LA Rams secondary, they struggle with one particular thing that the Bears do well in their play designs. They struggle with um, drag routes, uh, deep ends, things like that. If you gotta cross their face, you about to be open because they not covering that well. They struggle covering those type of routes, which in conjunction with their front four being able to create pressure, I can see that Ben Johnson schemes up a whole lot of plays in which you got Caleb rolling out of the pocket and hitting guys on the move that are on drag routes or doing deep. What do you call them? High, low concepts at a drag route coming across on the low. You got another deep end, and you got maybe a post up all the way up top, something like that. You probably see that a lot on Sunday. Post and Loveland. He's matchup nightmare for anybody right now, but in particular, L.A. Rams. You start having those big formations, like those bunch formations that both McVay and Ben Johnson like. You start putting him putting him into those type of formations and then creating conflicts where the defense don't know who's picking him up. You got a linebacker or you might as well might get him on a nickel. You already know what's gonna happen. It's gonna be basketball. They're gonna post him up and he's gonna go crazy. And the way that Caleb's been using him, I can see another big game. I looked on DraftKings earlier. They got his line at 4.5 catches. I'm definitely putting that on my ticket. He's getting 5 catches. If the Bears don't run the ball down the Rams' throat, 5 catches is easy for Coastal Loveland.
Um,
Uh, go
I
ahead.
was listening to somebody on the radio today, and they said Colson Loveland is a top 3 tight end in the NFL right now. What do you say to that?
You said top 3?
Top 3 right now.
I got McBride, and
Gotta have McBride.
then
I gotta have Bowers.
are we still putting I'm not putting Bowers ahead of Coastal.
Whoa.
I mean, they both had one good season, so I think they're on the same tier right now. I got McBride is clearly ahead of him. And the only reason I'm putting McBride ahead of him, and this is no disrespect to McBride, because he's got the usage, but I don't necessarily think he's a better player per se. The only tight end that I would actually think that might be better than him is Laporta, but his usage has come down the last 2 seasons.
I can't put Laporta
So
over Colston with not with the last 2 years he's um
yeah, because
put
his
together.
because his usage went down.
Yeah.
So the argument I'm making is that I would say Colston is in the discussion of being the best tight end in the league. But yeah, to come back to the Rams, Quentin Lake, they struggle covering tight ends, especially a tight end as physical and as fluid as a receiver as Colston Loveland. Just think about this: Carolina had 94 yards from their tight end last week, 94 yards. Now put Colston Loveland in that same situation. You're talking about a lot more than 94 yards. The last month, I've said more than once that yeah, this is going to be a rushing game. The Bears are going to run the ball on San Francisco. The Bears are going to run the ball on Green Bay because it's cold. The Bears are going to run the ball on Detroit. Neither one of them happened. Caleb Williams throwing the ball like 40 some odd times each time.
Wasn't on my bingo card.
Mine either. But this week, it's a legit 50-50 shot because the Rams don't load the box. And Ben Johnson loves calling up zone rush plays where he puts a lot of people, the entire defense in a conflict. He tried to have more guys blocking than you got on this side of the ball with all his motions and the formation creativity that he has. If you're gonna come down, or if you're not gonna come down, bring that safety down, then why not run the ball? Now, I will say this: the Rams do play quite often with 5 down linemen. And the Bears this season, when they've seen 5 down linemen, their success rate hasn't been average. It's been actually below average. I think they're 23rd or 24th in the league against 5 down linemen front. But if the Rams don't do that, if they just have their base out there, I think the Bears would be tempted, very tempted to run. You run in situations in which they think you're going to pass, and then you do the opposite. So you keep their 5-man down personnel off the field whatsoever. What do you think about the opportunity available for the Bears to run the ball?
Rams have a pretty they have a pretty stout run defense, right?
Their rush defense was 12th in the league. They gave up 110 a game.
I know they had a couple of uncharacteristic games where they just got gashed. But I remember they put up a really nice effort against Jameer Gibbs, much to my dismay as a avid Jameer Gibbs holder in fantasy. I like the Bears' chances. I like what the Bears can do against the Rams' run defense. Um, I feel like we've kind of been for us. We've kind of been in a little bit of slump running the ball. I think this is the week we get out of that slump and we hit the ground running. No pun intended. I think Monungai gets out of his slump and he has 50 plus yards. I think Swift has a really good effort at 80 plus yards. So right there, that's 130 rushing yards. I feel like this is the week.
Over the last 6 weeks of the season, the Rams defense allows 7.7 yards per carry to outside zone runs.
Yeah.
Last in the NFL.
Swift loves outside zone runs.
It's the only ones he likes. Those are his favorite.
Yeah, it's the only time he has some giddy up on his horse.
The Bears really do love that. That's the perfect scheme. I said earlier, Ben loves to create conflict on the outside. He loves running out of motion. You don't have to come out there at 13. You can bring wide receivers down and you can simulate a 13. You can simulate 12. Every formation is a run play with Ben Johnson. But they do come out there at 13 quite often. They make that outside zone look real easy from that point on. Depending on what metric you want to look at, they're either the best rushing offense or the third best rushing offense. Either way, the Bears can run on anybody. It's only if they decide to run on you. Again, I'm gonna go back to last week against the Carolina Panthers. They did stop Rico Dowdle and Chuba Hubbard because as a team that wants to run the ball, that is their focal point of their offense. The Carolina Panthers didn't have much success in that aspect. Instead, Bryce Young and Tet and Coker was having a way
And that's the thing
against
I've
that Rams
noticed.
secondary.
That's the thing I've noticed about the Rams. When they want to stop the run, they do, but it usually comes with some consequence. I've noticed in games where it leaves them vulnerable through the air. So I don't know what the Rams' game plan will be if they're going to be focused on stopping the run, maybe bringing the safeties down, maybe add another guy to the box, using that 5-man front. So I think you use a 5-man front, you bring safeties down. Now you're vulnerable to the pass. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Rams do. The Rams have a really good coaching staff. Um, they're well prepared. They scheme well on both sides of the ball. So that's going to be interesting to see what the Rams feel they have to stop as far as the Bears' passing offense or rushing offense.
I say that they stopped the rushing offense. They did technically score 3 rushing touchdowns. But Chuba Hubbard only had 13 carries for 46 yards, and that was the high for that squad. I would consider that to be stopping. They as a team, they ran for 83 yards. Rico Dowdle only had 5 carries.
That's crazy. After the season he had, only getting 5 carries. He's a free agent, isn't
Yeah.
he?
He is gonna be a free agent this offseason. I expect him to get a big contract for offer from the Carolina Panthers, though.
Even though they're paying Chuba
Hey,
handsomely
man.
too.
Yeah, man, things change. The Rams have one of those high pressure rates that I spoke about, but the Bears' offensive line is one of the best offensive lines in the league. Now, not having Ozzie Trapillo, how big of a factor is that, though?
We've seen Theo come in and play some good football, but I'll be honest with you, I saw the difference with Ozzy. That one hurts, not just because you're not going to have Ozzy for this game or the rest of the playoff run. Said rest of the playoff run. Did you notice that? Um, but because Ozzy, man, I feel bad. He tore his patellar. I, you know, everybody thinks of the ACL as the gloom and doom. I'd rather him have tore the ACL than the patella. The patella is a lengthy rehab. Um, I know a lot of people were citing the 6 to 12 months. He's a big guy. He's not coming back on this field in 6 months. The Chiefs tackle, we broke down his film in the offseason. The kid Simmons, we thought he might be the best tackle in this draft had he not got hurt. See, it took him nearly a year to come back. So you do the math. Ozzy got hurt in January. We're not seeing Ozzy back on the field um, till November. And that's if he does a good job. Theo, like I said, he did a solid job when he took over for Braxton Jones. But there was a noticeable difference. I mean, Ozzy kind of there were games where Ozzy was very good, highly graded PFF scores too. So I anticipate maybe the Bears will have to slide protection towards Theo's way. You might have to have a back or a tight end chip. I expect the Rams to put their best edge rusher on it. And the Rams they play a real fluid type front. They did the same thing with Aaron Donald. You see Byron Young and Kobe Turner line up over the tackle, over the center. They'll line up in between the guard and the tackle in that kind of 3 technique. They'll line up in the 5 technique. I assume that Kobe, Verse, and Young will all take turns on Theo. It's gonna be a Diddy party out there. They're gonna Theo's gonna see 3 men in one night. He just
Well, if it's a Diddy party, he won't see him, but he gonna feel him. Hey, yo, what would you say if for some reason, because it's win or go home? What if Theo was getting, and we haven't talked about having a chip for a tackle for a while, right? So this is harkening back to a part of the season that where we were still kind of trying to find ourselves. But what would you say if Theo's, I guess, not up to the challenge, if he's losing these battles, and then we got to bring in Braxton Jones?
That's a bad word. Don't you say that. Don't
Hey
you
man,
say
hey, all hands on deck.
don't you
They
say the
they didn't
D word.
activate him for
Keep
no
his hands
they didn't
keep
activate
his
him for
hands
nothing.
off of the deck, please. Keep his hands off of the deck. I did not like what his hands did on the deck when they played this year or last year. Those hands need to leave the deck, and I'm pretty sure that's the last time we'll see those hands anywhere near this deck, because he's a pending free agent, and there's absolutely no reason to bring Braxton back. I know Ozzy probably won't start the season next year. We're not going back down that Braxton road, and it's not just because Braxton hasn't performed well in the last couple of years, because there was a time where he exceeded his draft day position as a fifth round pick. However, when I see Braxton, I think of Eberflus. I think of Luke Getzey. I think of Shane Waldron. He's a throwback to those era, and I want those eras gone. I want them washed away, except for guys like Jalen Johnson and I like Cole Kmet, and I guess Caleb Williams is technically part of the Eberflus era, although I think that he that, that he was that he helped end the Eberflus era by
Well, for that same respect, Jalen Johnson did too. He the one that cussed him out after that Thanksgiving game.
yeah. That's why I'll forever appreciate Jalen Johnson. Cutting him out and accelerating his departure was one of the best things that could happen. Maybe I should be mad at Jalen. Maybe he
For
should have cussed him out in 2023. We could have Ben Johnson a year earlier. Didn't have to deal with that 2024 ordeal.
maybe getting rid of Eberflus seems to help everybody out. It helps the Bears, and it
I'm
might
ready
help
to
the
build my Ben
Cowboys.
Johnson and Caleb Williams statue.
Did you see they put up a statue, a quote unquote statue for Caleb already at the merchandise mart?
Good. First of
They got
many.
an Iceman statue. Iceman. Let me not say statue. Call it a monument. The last thing for this offense side. So the Bears had been practicing outside all week and without the heaters. The Rams is what 75, 80 degrees out there in LA this week. Do you think that we gonna see it? Because I think it was the Cleveland Browns when the last time we had a really really cold game, and the Browns they didn't want to hit. I saw that in the first what they first drive. They over it. They don't want to play. Do you think the Bears can out physical the Rams early due to the weather?
Absolutely.
Let's talk Bears defense now against the Rams offense. High flying Rams offense, like I said earlier, they rank number one in passing offense and number one in scoring offense. Q. Same thing I asked in the last segment. What advantages do the Bears defense have against the Rams offense?
The advantage they have is being able to create turnovers. Matt Stafford, great quarterback. He's still a gunslinger. Matt will test the limits of his arm talent. He will put that ball in windows. Maybe that ball shouldn't be in, but he will try it. Matt has been a guy where we've seen him pile up interceptions in the past. Hell,
Atlanta,
when the Rams won a Super Bowl, he threw 17. Uh,
Carolina.
3 years ago, he threw 11. He's thrown 20 in his career. He's thrown 19 in his career. He's thrown 16, 17. Though Matt has become more conservative in his advanced years at the twilight of his career, as he's aged. I think the combination of the weather and the bad finger and an opportunistic Bears defense that could be our advantage, creating the turnover battles. I don't see us having the advantage in the run game or the pass game. The Rams are one of the highly skilled offenses of the league with very good players all around there. You got Devontae Adams, you got Puka. These are Pro Bowl level talents. You got Kyron Williams, a Pro Bowl level talent. You have Blake Corum, a very good backup running back, one of the better backup running backs in the league. So there's a lot of talent on this Rams offense, and they execute, and they're productive, and they're led by one of the brightest offensive minds in the game. So no disrespect to the Bears defense, they've taken a lot of beatings through the media and from the fan base over the entire season. And some of
Mm.
it deserved, some of it slightly overblown. But I think the advantage the Bears defense has is being able to force the Rams into turnovers. I've seen Kyron Williams put the ball on the ground. So doesn't have to just be Matt Stafford interceptions. It could be getting to Matt Stafford. How much grip will he have on the ball with that bad finger? Can you strip him? Does he have the strength in that hand? So the Bears' advantage on defense, I would say, is being able to create a turnover.
I ain't gonna hold you, Q. I think the Bears' defense only advantage in this game is the weather. I want to say, I
I'm,
want to.
I'm trying to create. Listen, I'm trying to create some positivity for our listeners. Reason to be amped up. Yeah, I agree. I can't see the Bears having an advantage in the run game or defending the pass, but I'm trying to be Mr. Optimistic here.
Oh, that's fair. That's cool. In saying that the weather is their only advantage, it's a huge advantage. Dome teams playing in temperatures under 40 degrees in the playoffs and on the road are 1 in 15 over the last 10 years. The Rams, like I said, it's 80 degrees in LA this week. They coming to see Chicago, it's gonna be like 3 degrees if you factor in the wind chill. And that ain't the only thing. Matt Stafford has had a history of struggling in cold games too. Yeah, he played in Detroit for the first half of his career? Has he played
Oh,
more
more
games for
than
the
that.
Rams? I think I
No,
was
no,
thinking okay.
he no, no, no. He just got to LA in 2021. He was drafted in 2009.
So he played
So he's
majority of his career was in Detroit. And Detroit gets cold, but
12
Detroit's a dome
years.
team.
Yeah, 12 years with the Lions, 5 with the Rams, 165 games as a Lion, 74 as a Ram.
But so yeah, as all them years of Detroit, he's very familiar with Soldier Field. He's very familiar with Soldier Field in December, maybe not in January, but he's familiar with inclement weather coming out of Chicago. In his 12 career games at Soldier Field, Stafford has a 1-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio, 16 to 15. 16 TDs, 15 interceptions. And in games where the temperature is 20 degrees or cold, in fact, I don't think Stafford's ever played in a game that's under 30 degrees as a pro. I don't think he has.
Wow. No, strangely enough, a lot of the games I can remember where Stafford actually visited Soldier Field were early in the season. I know you remember the game where it looked like they walked us off with a Stafford to Calvin Johnson touchdown, and they didn't complete the process of the catch. That was September, and I remember that was a warm day. I remember being out in a t-shirt, and I remember that being early in the season. So oddly enough, he hasn't played in Soldier Field, even though he's been a Lion. He hasn't played in Soldier Field a lot in the cold. I remember a lot of November games. I remember a lot of September games, and I can go through. I'm looking at 2009. Yeah, a lot of the games have been. Let me see. I see one January 3rd game his rookie year, but I don't. I think he was hurt. Stafford had a lot of injuries early in his career. I don't
He
think he
did.
played in this game. And I'm looking. No, Dante Culpepper started this game, and the temperature. Well, this was in Detroit. I apologize. So yeah, had for some reason he has not seen the Bears on the road a lot in the late season.
In his 3 games played at Soldier Field where the temperature was 30 degrees or colder, he has 3 touchdowns to 5 interceptions.
3 touchdowns to 5 interceptions.
Yeah, that's 3 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. But in games where the temperature is just 40 degrees or lower, Stafford has a career record of 1-9. In games where it's raining or snowing, he also has that same record, 1 or 9. It could be both. Fuck around come Sunday on the lake. earlier this season when he played in Carolina, where the temperature was 45 degrees, but it was raining a little bit. It was a drizzle. He threw 2 picks. One of them was a pick six, and he lost a fumble. I don't know if you remember last year when the Rams were one of the better teams in the league. I mean, a lot of people was picking them to go on a Super Bowl, go on a run to get to the Super Bowl, but they did have to go to Philadelphia, and Philadelphia was a cold weather game for them. I think it was 30.
No,
Yeah, it was snow in that game. It was like 35, something like that. He threw for 300 yards. They had 3 or 4. I think he had 3 touchdowns. I'm not sure. So he didn't play bad. They still lost that game. The rest of the team played bad.
Saquon ran all over them.
That's too. I mean, it's a running atmosphere, and the Rams couldn't figure that thing out to save their life. But however, I mean, all that points to this. I think the weather is the Bears' defense biggest advantage. Not not the ability for them to find turnovers, not the ability for them to stop the run, not them do anything. Like, the weather has to be that thing that leads the defense into this win. Q, I'm looking at the numbers. I did not think the Rams rushing offense was as good as it is, but seventh in the league. I thought Kyron and what's his name? Corum.
Blake Corum.
I thought this whole, I've watched Rams game because they're always on, TV. And I'm thinking they're more so red zone running backs, not necessarily between the 20s running backs. But the numbers suggest otherwise. Do you think they're going to be an issue for let's say this game turns out to be a running game for both teams. Do you think Kyron Williams and Blake Corum going to be an issue for the Bears defense?
Yeah, because we still haven't. I think we've played better against the run. Not I think we have played better against the run. The Bears held Josh Jacobs to under 50 yards.
I think
They held
I
him to
think he was I think his yards per carry was something like 3.
yeah. Um, and I know Josh Jacobs battling through some issues, but he was battling through some issues when we saw them in Soldier Field, and he was able to um play well. Well, Emmanuel Wilson was the one who really ate us up. But yeah, the Rams running offense, rush offense, it is a strong one. Uh Oddly enough, it's kind of similar to the Ben Johnson run offense. You're gonna see a lot of outside zone, but you're also gonna see the Rams also will play a lot of 13 personnel. And it's a run scheme that's similar to Ben Johnson. You'll see a lot of motion, a lot of pre-snap stuff, things to get defenders out of their run fits and to give them a lot of uh, junk to diagnose before the play even begins, and even after the play begins. There's a lot of stuff to diagnose. Um, yeah, the Rams run offense. Kyron ran for 1,200 yards. Blake Corum ran for 746. So that duel kind of mirrors what DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monunga did. In fact, I think both Corum and Kyron outrushed their counterparts. Now, where the Bears have the advantages, they got a mobile quarterback. So that's one of the reasons why the Bears had a higher ranked running offense. But yeah, the Rams run offense is definitely a problem. It should be a problem for any run defense because they're one of the best in the league to do it. So I can't sit here and say that I'm fully confident the Bears run defense will put together a good showing against the Rams run offense. Just as you believe it could be a run game for the Bears offense, it could be a run game for the Rams offense. What's the status of Cody Billings, by the way? Because he's been can't help but notice that last couple games he's been laying on the ground like a beached whale and walrus during the mating season. I'm not body shaming anybody. I just find the parallels um amusing. There's no disrespect to any whales, walruses, or any of our fats that watch the game. We watch our podcast. We love all people of all sizes,
And all mammals too.
all mammals. All mammals matter.
Cody Billings is not on the injury report, so he should
Okay,
be
he's
a
just fat. He's just fat. It takes him a long time to get off the ground. Okay, maybe I mistaken. I thought he was hurt. He was just fat.
We got enough
I
injured
can
injured offenders out there. CJ Gardner Johnson. talked about his name in the injury report earlier. Um, do you think that he's a necessary against that passing offense for the against the passing offense for the Rams? Do you think CJ Gardner Johnson is necessary, considering the fact that Kyler Gordon is not at 100%, considering the fact that Jalen
Absolutely.
Johnson, well, there you go.
Absolutely. CJ Garner Johnson is a guy I know. Listen, I know there's times people like, well, he's been burnt a couple times. Yeah, he's a safety playing nickel,
So where
and
would you
Dennis
play
Allen for
him
some
then? So
reason.
so you're gonna spell him for you're gonna spell Kyler for CJ, but
Absolutely.
you have no advantages there.
So the thing with CJ is a guy who he can be effective in nickel. I just wouldn't use him in man. What CJ brings to you, he brings veteran leadership, he brings communication, he has a very good understanding of zone coverages, he knows where to be, he's not afraid to get his nose dirty. He will set the edge. He's physical against the run. The Rams, like I said earlier, they like to run a lot of 13 personnel. That will play into CJ's hands. He can cover tight ends in man. They also will put Puka in a slot. Puka's not just in a slot as a receiver. Puka's in a slot for the run game as well. He's a mean, tough receiver in the slot. So yes, I do think CJ can be effective and used in this game. What we have to do is not put CJ at disadvantages. You don't want CJ matched in the slot against Devontae Adams in man. You don't want him matched in man against Puka. But yeah, absolutely. I think CJ playing is definitely a good thing for us. This is a guy who's been on some very good teams. He's been on, I believe, both Eagles Super Bowl teams. He was on the Lions, one of their division winning teams. He was on the Saints division winners and teams that went to NFC Championship. CJ brings experience. CJ brings grit. He brings a toughness to your defense. So I absolutely do want CJ out there. And if it comes between Nick McLeod spelling Kyler Gordon and CJ spelling Kyler Gordon, give me CJ.
You bring up something, whether or not the Bears should play zone or man coverage versus this Rams offense. With TJ Edwards being down for the rest of the season, however long that goes, you got DeMarco out there. DeMarco's a younger and faster cover linebacker, so we don't lose anything there. But if CJ
Hey,
Gardner Johnson was available,
let's be honest. DeMarco has balled in the
he has
time he's been there. I haven't seen any drop off. Now, that's not to say that it won't. Hopefully, it doesn't expose itself. But you're right. He's faster, slightly younger, and quite frankly, he's bald. Now, sometimes backups just have a good run. But right now, I feel good with DeMarco in there. And the other advantage is he comes from a Dennis Allen's defense. You're not going to lose anything with the understanding of it. You're not getting a backup who isn't going to understand the plays or not know where to go. DeMarco's going to know where to be on that field.
facts. In the event that CJ Gardner is available and you got DeMarco out there, and the Bears are trying to be, I guess, tricky and not show their hand because McVay is going to run a lot of motion. The Bears are like the highest motion. The Bears use the most motion in the league. I think the Rams are like in the top five as well. So
Yeah, watching Sean McVay in that offense, sometimes it's like watching the Bears offense. I'm
mhm.
not talking about just from the skill. I'm not saying we have a guy to match Puka or it goes exactly like that or Williams plays like Stafford. But what you see with the pre-snap motion and the play design and the scheme, you see a lot of Bears and they kind of mirror each other.
So instead of using instead of allowing yourself to have a tail, motion design, motion will tell you if you're in man or zone, if you have a follow, right? But let's say the Bears disguise their coverage in pre-snap, and you got CJ, Kyler, or DeMarco out there matched up with Puka over under Q. Because this is the line for DraftKings. And I don't know why. Over under 7.5 catches for Puka.
It's only 7.5.
They've continuously they continuously cap him at 7.5. I do not know why.
Well, let me go sign up for DraftKings. Listen, I love the Bears. I love money though too.
Mm.
I'm definitely in over on Puka 7.5 catches. That is insane. Do they think the weather is going to affect the passing offenses that much? You said Coastal Loveland's over under was what?
4.5.
I feel like putting a parlay together and basing it on Puka and Coastal being over. Handle that on the
I'm
betting
not mad
show.
at that.
But you were asking about CJ and the skies and the coverages. See, and other reason I like CJ, it gives you flexibility with him and Kyler on the field. Um, you can run dime. And Dennis Allen with the Saints, when some of his best Saints defenses ran a lot of dime. Now you haven't seen a lot of dime this year out of the Bears because the Bears haven't had a lot of healthy corners. So you can't run dime when you got Jalen Johnson out and uh, you don't really have two slot corners, two nickel backs or something of that ilk. The Bears' backup safety is Elijah Hicks. They're not deep at backup safety. You got Elijah Hicks and Jonathan Owens there, and Kyler has missed the majority of the season. You haven't had the versatility to really show some of those dime looks. But if CJ and Kyler are both out there, you have some versatility to show dime.
Yeah, but
That could be
I
something that
mean
the
that
Rams
that
aren't
is
prepared to deal with.
yeah, that is it's an interesting idea to play dime. If you got to stop the pass. Again, if the weather's going to be exactly what they say it is, and if you come out there with one linebacker, you're asking McVay to run that ball down your throat. You asking Blake Horn to come, make a name for us. Isn't Blake Horn from isn't he from Illinois?
He might be. I know he went to Michigan, but
Right.
let me propose this also. Tremaine Edmonds is not a force against the run. How much better against the run is he than Kyler Gordon and CJ Gardner Johnson? I saw Kyler Gordon make a play. I mean, we talked about this ad nauseum. The Bears linebackers do not play on the other teams line of scrimmage. But
Hmm.
how often do we see Tremaine Edmonds make a tackle behind the line of scrimmage with back? That's something we got spoiled with growing up as Bears fans. Lance Briggs and Brian Urlacher were constantly playing on the other side of the line of scrimmage. They were they timed their blitz well. They had great recognition in the run game. They shot the gaps well. Uh, when Kyler Gordon is out there, in fact, I believe he did make a play behind at the line of scrimmage, behind the line of scrimmage. So I counter your point about asking Sean McVay to run the ball. Maybe you do dare him because
Mm.
Kyler Gordon and C.J. Garner Johnson are they are very good DBs against the run. They're much better than your average DB. And
And
yeah,
physical.
Tremaine is a linebacker, but in all fairness, I wouldn't. I don't think he plays the run much better than Kyler and CJ do.
Yeah, that's interesting because that's one of those things that make this game so interesting. Because taking a step back, just not as a Bears fan, but as a football fan, somebody that loves football at a high level, this game is going to
The
be a
chess
chess.
match.
It is a chess
Oh
match at a
yeah,
high,
chess
at
match.
very much the weather and these two madmen, these these two madmen as head coaches. It's going to be interesting. The next thing, the Rams allowed the fewest sacks in the NFL this year. How big is A94 Austin Booker and Montez Sweat? Would you say that they're the key to the Bears defense this week?
Absolutely. How do you stop? And we've talked about this ad nauseum on our show. How do you stop a great quarterback? The best way to stop him and a great passing offense, get the quarterback on the ground, or as A94, as you affectionately call him, as he likes to do, just knock your quarterback out the game. You know, um, best way to stop Matt Stafford is get him on his back. He's not a guy with a lot of mobility. The Bears have been hurt. Who's hurt the Bears a lot this year? Mobile quarterbacks.
Mm.
Uh, Purdy, Jackson Dart before we knocked him out the game. Snoop Huntley, Malik Willis gave us fits. Jordan Love isn't as mobile as those guys, but he certainly gets mobile. I think this might play into the Bears' advantage. You got Dennis Allen seems to be able to get after stationary quarterbacks. Stafford will hang in a pocket. Could be to his detriment. It's going to be cold. That hand is gonna be hurting. Stafford is not running away from anybody. The hits pile up in the cold, protecting an injury. Sweat and Booker could be the defensive MVPs.
You definitely need one of them to be a defensive MVP. If we have any inclination to win this game, Sweat and Booker have got to make their presence felt like they did in the second half against the Packers last week. They've got to be around Matt Stafford. They got to make Matt Stafford remember that his fingers hurt. He doesn't want to hurt it anymore, right? And an example I used earlier in the episode about banging your hand, trying to work on your car in the cold. Getting hit hurts. It ain't what hitting anything or in that type of temperature. It hurts 1,000 times more. You gotta make these you gotta bring the pain. You gotta make Matt Stafford think about that. And he's a professional. He probably dust that shit off. And, I'm probably glazing it. I'm probably doing too much with it, but still, the sports, especially uh, contact sports, it's all about um, making your opponent feel you, making your opponent think about uh, how much more physical abuse they want to attack. Making sure you're testing their mental fortitude. Like, can you focus on your job while your body's getting beat up? That's how the Bears win this game. Again, the weather is the biggest component for this game for the Bears defense. Austin Booker, he's been fantastic the last, 5 weeks, 5 games for the Bears?
Yeah.
His pressure rate has been tremendous. Montez Sweat, they've got to make Kyron Williams, they gotta make Matt Stafford number 1. They've gotta make, Blake Corum, they gotta field them, they gotta make them start making some business decisions. Shout out to Kayshawn Nixon. They gotta make business decisions and start thinking about, "Man, you know what I would like right now? Be sitting next to that heater on the bench." We talked about man coverage, zone. In the event that Montez Sweat and Austin Booker are not getting home and and are not creating the type of pressure we need, and our cornerbacks are, and it's starting to look like Puka's going to have a 200-yard game against us. Should we got how what type of blitzes are you looking to see? Because I remember in the Packer game we started seeing some a lot of corner blitzes. He sent DeMarco out there after TJ got hurt. DeMarco was in the backfield a couple of times. The Bears have had I don't even want to say success because with the blitz, the first year with Dennis Allen has been up and down. There's been some wins, but we expected something to look like Buddy Ryan. We wanted to see quarterbacks on the turf, sort of like with the 46 defense, right? But it ain't really been like that. How comfortable are you with the Bears in against this type of offense? Against Puka Nacua, against Devontae Williams, against Kobe Parkinson and all them other tight ends they got out there, against Matt Stafford. How comfortable are you with the Bears taking guys out of coverage and sending them at the quarterback in a blitz fashion?
I'm not comfortable with it because Matt Stafford he's seen a lot. So if you don't get home, Matt Stafford is gonna beat you. But oddly enough, I think just this year, I think Jordan Love has been better against blitzes this year. Am I right?
The best quarterback against the blitz.
Okay, well then I'm not delusional making this up. You got a better chance of getting home against Stafford. One, he's not going to elude the blitz. Uh, you close in on him, he's not getting away. He's not getting out the pocket. He may climb the pocket, and that's about it. Matthew Stafford he's kind of a statue there. But the problem is, if you don't get there, he's going to know where to put the ball. He's going to know where to replace it. He's going to find the opening. He's going to find the open guy. He's going to find his hot guy. So I don't want to get blitz happy against Matt Stafford, but I do want to see the timely blitz. I do want to see the occasional blitz.
While we were having fun trolling Packers and Packer fans this week, and Montez Sweat, he did get a game ball from Ben Johnson for being around Jordan Love a lot in that second half. Austin Booker made his pressure felt. The Packers' offensive line ain't what the Rams' offensive line is. The Rams' offensive line is healthy. The Rams' offensive line is a lot better than the Packers offensive line. So the Bears got their work cut out for them in this game. One final thing before we make our prediction: special teams. We talked about Cairo Santos for all that we maligned him for all that we said about him in the past. He does know how to kick in the elements. He's got the special touch. He's got the flick of the wrist, so to speak, in the Chicago win. If this game comes down to anything where a field goal or extra point matters a lot, I have faith that our special teams will be better than their special teams. Let's make our predictions. The Bears are a 3.5 point dog at home. I gave you all the stats about how dome teams look in the weather. How you feeling about this game?
I said last week, I don't know if I said this on the show. I said I felt if the Bears could get past the Packers in the wild card round, for some reason, I just felt like the Bears would be in the NFC Championship. I felt if the Bears got a second game at home, that they would be crisper and they would be better. And I still feel that way. I like the Bears at home against the Rams. I like the matchup because I like like you said, I like the advantage the weather's going to give us. I like the Bears in this game. Um,
Total is 48.5. That's almost, well, a 25 or 26-24 game ain't considered really high scoring. But you don't think this game will be high scoring, do you?
no, I had the Bears with the correct score last week. I said 31. I underestimate the Packers just slightly. I think
No one's gonna
this
hold that against you.
game, yeah, fuck Green Bay. Um, so I got this game under, but
Mm.
just barely. I'm going Bears 27, Rams 21.
This is, I started last episode with asking if this game, when I say this game, I mean the Packers game, was a referendum on the season. Was the season still a success, regardless of what happened in that game against the Packers? Well, we beat the Packers. So for me, all this is cake to me at this point, Q. I'm sorry if that makes me a bad Bears fan. I, I've lived through a lot of turmoil. I'm happy with whatever happens, no matter what, because they've exceeded my expectations already to this point. With that said, going around with everything that's been going on in Springfield, and you got Roger Goodell's in town last weekend, looking at sites in Indiana, looking at sites in Arlington Heights, and there's been all this talk about the Bears sending out surveys to the season ticket holders about how they would feel about going to games in Gary or Hammond or whatever boondock part of Indiana in the future, and all this stuff about dome teams. The Bears need to have a ceiling on top of their games, and yada 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 yada. This is Bears football, bro. Nothing about the Bears tells you that they should be in a dome, even though it's probably preferable for the business aspect of it. But the Bears played their ass off all season for this opportunity to have one of them California teams out here freezing their ass off in the Bear weather. They've already shown that they are comfortable playing in this weather. Remember that game against Cleveland? Cleveland didn't want to be here, and they're a cold weather team too. They ain't want to play in that. The Bears is out there showing out. Bears out there playing like it was still training camp. That's how much fun they was having. The last two games against Green Bay in Soldier Field, it was cold as dog shit out there. Bears didn't struggle at all. Bears are built for this. Even though Caleb played his college ball in Oklahoma, which ain't that cold, he played his other part of his college ball in Southern California, which is definitely not cold at all. He's showing you that he's built for this. His name is Iceman for a reason.
He's a DC native, so they're not Chicago cold, but they're not comfortable.
We already
No,
talked about how
South
your
cold.
how your blood thins out when you get into warmer climate. Caleb, I don't know what kind of I don't know what kind of blood he got, but I know what he got in his veins, and it's ice. This the weather the Iceman was made for. This the weather the Bears love to play in, and this the situation. This is the opportunity that Ben Johnson has been looking for ever since he got hired to Matt Patricia's squad back in 2019. He's had a chip on his shoulder for a long time. and he's been scratching names off his list. So they talking about Matt LaFleur and Sean McVay are best buddies. They think McVay's gonna get that lick back for his buddy LaFleur. Ben heard that. I know Ben heard that. For somebody as young as he is, he's got a lot of enemies. And he spent this whole year making all his ops feel him. And I have no reason to believe that this won't be another week where somebody's gotta put their head down and walk off like, damn, that motherfucker got us. Close score to yours. Hey, the Bears win at 24. I don't think LA want to play in this weather.
We don't sweat that much this time?
We've seen this team. This team is not foreign to the Bears. Even though last year when the Rams and the Bears played, there's a lot of difference between both the teams since then, but not so much that I don't think that the Bears are unfamiliar with who they're playing with. The Rams, they're not doing that well when they come this far. You saw what they looked like against the Falcons a couple of weeks back. You saw how they looked when they played against Carolina. Carolina almost got that ass. The Bears are going to get that ass. Bears 24, Rams 16. Bear down.
Bear down.
Thanks for listening to this latest episode from the Frustrated Chicago Sports Fan Channel. Don't matter if you listen to this on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or watch it on Twitch or YouTube. Make sure you like, subscribe, share with a friend, hit the notification bell so you never miss a drop. And to all the guys from Chicago, we say three things: bear down, go Cubs go, and sell the team, Jerry.